We start with a Channel 3 investigation into sexual assaults in schools in Vermont.
Our team decided to dig deeper into cases here after the Associated Press reported that there were about 17,000 sexual assaults at schools nationwide, and that was over a 4-year span in grades kindergarten through 12.
Channel 3's Alex Hirsch is live with us this morning. And how many have happened here, Alex?
Well, I talked with leaders at Vermont's Agency of Education. They tell me there were 11 reported sexual assaults committed by students that led to student discipline between fall of 2012 and spring of 2015. How many have we actually had?
When the schools in Vermont produce discipline data, they record the reason for whatever disciplinary action they've seen.
Amy Fowler is the Deputy Secretary for the Agency of Education. She broke it down for us, saying the agency has 11 sexual assaults on record from the beginning of the 2012 school year to the end of the 2015 school year. That's not even close to 1% of the just over 83,000 students in Vermont's K-12 programs. To compare, they say there were less than 11 in the 3 years prior to that. But education officials wouldn't give us a specific number.
Could it be underreported? It's definitely something that's worth a conversation.
In 2015, Act 60 was passed. It raised the mandatory reporting standard for all school employees in Vermont to directly report when reasonably suspects sexual assault. The AOE, the Department for Children and Families, and the sexual violence outreach professionals at Hope Works say there are multiple reasons sex assault at school could be underreported. They say victims may not come forward because of fear and possibly shame. Claims of assaults may not be verifiable, and misunderstanding of what constitutes a sexual assault. Glynis Fox has 2 kids in Burlington schools. When we shared the numbers of kids being sexually assaulted by other kids nationwide, she was shocked.
I wonder how they define sexual assault.
We wondered too. The state would not give us any more detail about those 11 cases, but did provide us with a definition. The AOE says sexual assault includes unwanted touching, unwanted grabbing, and unwanted physical aggression of all kinds. Fowler says Vermont schools are required to report on-campus sex crimes to police or DCF. When schools plan to take disciplinary actions against students, they have discretion and the power to investigate allegations on their own, or to ask police or DCF to investigate. It's a process schools don't want to talk about.
We reached out to multiple school principals and superintendents, all of which either declined an interview or did not return my call.
And in the same way that a principal would not want to talk to you about drug use on their campus or would not want to talk to you about fighting on their campus, it's because they are working very hard in their communities to show their schools as a very safe place for all children.
The only way the AOE finds out about sex assaults that happen at schools in the state is if the perpetrator is disciplined by the school. If and when that happens, schools must report to the agency. It's something Fowler says involves another judgment call.
When the school is recording whether or not the reason that a disciplinary action is occurring, they're deciding, was this particular physical aggression sexual in nature or was it just physical in nature? And sometimes there's disagreement about that.
So what about our neighboring states? In New Hampshire, school board districts are responsible for creating their own sexual assault policies. Now in New York, each school must follow the Dignity for All Students Act. It requests each school to have their own policies and procedures in place to deal with sexual assault.
Alex, I feel like this story hits home for so many people. I feel like whether you're a mother, you're a sister, really anyone who's a concerned citizen, you hear that number 11. And while that doesn't even make up about 1% of the student body, which is what you reported, I feel like anyone at home would hear 11, and that's enough for them to hear that this is a scary situation.
Absolutely.
Tell us, what do experts say as far as where does Vermont land nationwide?
Well, you're definitely right, because 11, while a low number, is still 11 too many. There's no argument there. But the silver lining is that the AOE, DCF, and HopeWorks, they all say the tiny number of cases that Vermont has had shows that Vermont is ahead of the curve when it comes to preventing sexual assaults in schools compared to all the other states in America.
One of the things that stood out for me, and I think will stand out to a lot of people, is this idea that schools have a lot of authority over this. You might have heard this and thought, oh, well, of course, everything gets reported to police, but it's just not true.
Yeah, it's interesting. And tomorrow, tomorrow, we're actually going to have a second part to this story where we'll be hearing from the DCF and from Hope Works on what their roles are once it is reported and how they handle sexual assault in schools as well.
Alex, thank you very much.